الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise due to Allah, and His praise and blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family and his companions and his followers until the day of judgment, and all of his prophets and messengers. My dear brothers and sisters, I would like to welcome you to a new episode of The Rope That Binds Us. Today we will be discussing the methods which have been followed by some people to reject the Sunnah. Some people might say they believe in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, but they believe in it in a sense that they believe that the Prophet can ordain for people and tell people what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have told him to deliver. But it doesn't necessitate that the people who came later on after generations to follow the Sunnah, because the Sunnah they cannot trust it, they cannot believe that it's a reliable source for different reasons. And we cover that a little bit in details in the past or the previous episodes. But here I would like to talk a little bit about the same issue but from another perspective. We see that the methods been used to reject the Sunnah, mainly it's two ways. Either by attacking the narrators. So if you attack the narrators, you cannot trust what they narrate. If you don't believe that they are trustworthy, and if you can attack them in a way that you cannot trust them anymore, basically the result of that, you cannot trust what they have narrated. Or by attacking the text, the narration itself. So they said, okay, we accept the Sunnah, but this text we don't accept for 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons. We accept the concept of narrating the ahadith. We accept mutawatir, we accept ahad. But you know what? This narrator or that narrator, we don't accept his narrations. Why? For different reasons. Let's see the first way. Attacking the narrator. Attacking the narrator, it's a method been used from the old days. Even immediately after the Prophet ﷺ's caliphs passed away, Abu Bakr and Umar, people start raising doubts about Uthman radiallahu anhu, and how much we can trust Uthman radiallahu anhu. And we all know how things was developed to the extent that Uthman was killed inside his house by some of these rebels who came from Egypt and Yemen and Iraq, and they attacked his house, and he was killed by those people. Also after that, things became more complicated, if you want to say that, and a group of people appear, their name is Al-Khawarij. Those people who have said that Uthman and Ali radiallahu anhu, and Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, and Zubair radiallahu anhu arda, wa Talha, wa Aisha, and whoever joined them, and whoever agree with them, all are not Muslims. Or are not Muslim. They are all non-Muslim. A'udhu billah. And even furthermore, they said, they will ask the person, Do you believe that Ali or Muawiyah is a Muslim? Some said yes, they will say you are not Muslim. If he said I don't know, they will say you are not Muslim too. What we call takfiris, or the people who judge people with kufr like that. Either if you took a position or you don't take a position, you will be kafir. The only way to be saved is to take their position and their opinion. And this extreme groups, extreme sect, the Prophet ﷺ warned us from them. Nabi ﷺ never warned us from people as much as he warned us from those people. And he said ﷺ in the authentic hadith, they are the dogs of the hellfire. إِنَّهُمْ كِلَابُ النَّارِ إِنَّهُمْ كِلَابُ النَّارِ. And this sect, the one which Ali radiallahu anhu ardah, fought and he killed most of them. But they were able to come back again and they killed Ali radiallahu anhu ardah. Anyway, so if they believe that the vast majority of the Sahaba in their time are not Muslims, and whoever agree with them are not Muslims, basically the vast majority of Muslims will not be trustworthy narrators. The same thing with other groups also appear in that time, who said that most of the companions, but those people even went farther to say Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and the rest of the Sahaba except 7 or maybe 14 are Muslim, but the rest of them are not Muslim. So here, the chain of narrators, it starts from the Sahaba, then the second generation, the Tabi'een, the successor, then the Atba' Tabi'een, 1, 2, 3. So if you come here in this first step, the Sahaba, and you said they are out, that means all the ahadith which comes through them are not accepted. See the dangers of this opinion. Basically, everything they narrate will not be accepted. The most famous narrators in Islam are Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anh, Abu Hurairah, and the first one will be Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu ardah, Anas ibn Malik, narrated almost third of the Sunnah, Aisha radiallahu anha, Abdullah ibn Umar, and so on. Those people, they believe they are not Muslims. So basically, the whole religion cannot be trusted. That's why Abu Zar'a said, this is the way the people who hate this religion, who hate the message of Islam, used to destroy Islam. To tell you that you cannot trust the Sahaba. If you cannot trust Abu Bakr, how can you trust Al-Quran, which was collected during the time of Abu Bakr? How can you trust the Sunnah, which was also narrated in the time of Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali and so on? To realize it's so dangerous to attack the narrators. And this is one of the most common way appear in the early time of Islam. In the early time of Islam, but alhamdulillah, it was refuted by the Muslim scholars. We should always remember that Allah promised to save this religion. That's why Ibn al-Mubarak, when he was asked, what you will do, Ibn al-Mubarak is a great scholar, Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, a great scholar from which you call today Iran, said, if somebody attributed to the Prophet ﷺ false statement, people will wake up in the morning, I would say so-and-so person lied or attributed a false statement to the Prophet ﷺ. Allah promised that He will save this religion. He will save this message. So remember that. Also, those who attack the narrators, especially the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and I'm not going to talk about other than the Sahaba, because the key here in this issue is the Sahaba. If you attack the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, basically everything else will collapse. The whole chain of narrators will collapse. That's why they concentrate on the Sahaba radiallahu anhum wa ardahum. We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself said that as-Sahaba radiallahu anhum, the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they are trustworthy. Allah was pleased with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, pleased with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالسَّابِقُونَ الْأَوَّلُونَ مِنَ الْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ وَالَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُم بِإِحْسَانٍ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ وَأَعَدَّ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي تَحْتَهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا ذَلِكَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ. And as for the foremost, the first of the Muhajirin and the Ansar, and those who followed them in goodness, Allah is well pleased with them, and they are well pleased with him, and he has prepared for them paradise and gardens beneath which rivers flow. This verse in Surah 9, verse 100, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ. Certainly Allah was well pleased with the believers when they swore allegiance to you under the tree. In Bay'at Ridwan. So, and so many other hadiths and verses in Quran and a hadith in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ shows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger were pleased with the Sahaba radiallahu anhum arda'ahum. That's why, my dear brothers and sisters, we don't accept anybody to raise doubts about the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. We know that they are udul, they are trustworthy narrator. That's why the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, no one of the scholars of hadith ever criticized them or said, let's check their ability or their, how much trustworthy they are when they narrate the hadith. Let's move quickly to the other common way of rejecting the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, which is attacking the text. Attacking the text. Okay, some people, they might say, we say the Sahaba are udul, we accept the Sahaba, we accept the narrator. But they might reject the hadith because, reject the text of the hadith by one of these three ways. And this is the most common ways in the history or even in the recent days. Logic, opinion, kashf. And inshallah I will explain the meaning of these three words. Contradicting the hadith with logic is the way of the atheist, philosophers, orientalist, and whoever follow footsteps from modernist sects or groups today. Imam al-San'ani rahimahullah has a beautiful statement in regard to this issue. He said, those who follow their mind or their logic to reject the Sunnah are in reality saying, La ilaha illallah. There is no worthy of worship but Allah. No one worthy of worship but Allah. And my logic is the messenger of Allah. Because he put his messenger, he put his logic, the messenger. Instead of putting the Prophet ﷺ. And instead of looking at what the Prophet ﷺ said about this verse or how to practice this or how to deal with that, he said, I will use my logic to do this. I would like to say here a very important point. We don't have, in our religion, alhamdulillah, we don't believe as ahlusunnah that there is a single authentic hadith contradict what recognized as a common sense. Logic and shara', logic and the sharia, the rules of sharia will never ever contradict each other. Because this religion, this message was sent from the most wise, the most knowledgeable one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why logic will never contradict the sharia. Logic will support the sharia, will support the textual evidence, but it will not attack it, will not destroy it, will not contradict that text. So it's either the logic is not a correct logic, it's not a common sense, or this text is not an authentic narration. Anyway, time is up now. We'll see you inshallah in the next episode to continue our discussion. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.